Our affirmation today is, God is my source. Good morning once again, and again, happy Mother's Day. In fact, I wanted to talk a little bit about mothers and the love of a mother and the supply and our relationship with God today. So I'm going to put our lessons in truth on hold so that today we can celebrate more and talk more about moms. And you're probably looking at that thinking, well, what on earth does that have to do with Mother's Day? But we'll get there. I'll lace it all together and make it nice. You know, I don't know if any of you have seen this film that came out a while back, The Guilt Trip with Barbra Streisand. Anyways, near the very end, it's very interesting because this is a woman who sort of married the second choice. It wasn't her first choice. And she had the son, and the father had passed away early in life. So it was mostly her and the son all of the life. And she never did, find a relationship with anyone else. And at near the very end of the movie, the son is sort of feeling bad for her, saying, I'm so sorry you never really had this love. And the mother said to him, well, you know what? You were the love of my life. And, so you well up, and because it's a very, strong moment. And of course, in the scheme of things, that's probably not the healthiest relationship for humans to have because, you should branch out. But when I saw that, I was instantly struck, you know what? That is God to all of us. We are each and every one of us the absolute total love of God's life. Imagine that. We all have this relationship. There's this one person who looks at you and says, you are the love of my life. Everything about me and everything that I do is to lift you up and raise you up. And so be conscious of that. Be aware. Be connected with me. But to know that God is your source. God is my source. God is your source. God is everyone's source. And I know that in life we have different things. If we have a health challenge, we go to the doctor and we think maybe that's the source of our healing, but God's the source of our healing. We go to work, we get a paycheck or we get our pension check and we think, oh, this is that facility. That's the source of my supply. No, God is the source of your supply. And that's how He's working that through you. So keep in mind in all these situations that you are the love of God's life. Our question today, and this is what we have you, just as you're going through your daily activities of the week and you have time, stop and think about this. Where does my supply come from? Because a lot of times we forget to be connected with God. We get busy at work because we think that's the supply. That's where my paycheck's coming from. And we abandon some of our new thought ideals. Sometimes we're climbing the ladder. We're not being gracious, good Christian or Christ-like people. We're being aggressive, climbing the ladder, or in situations sometimes with our family, because we know sometimes in families there's friction and not everybody gets along, and we may say and do things that aren't very nice because we think that the source of our happiness is to get one up on them, to put them down. But that's not the source of your happiness. God is the source of your happiness. Remain connected to Him. If you have to eat a little crow sometimes with your family to keep the peace, then keep that in mind, that connection with God, and that's how you get there. So as you're walking through your week and situations come up and you're working towards something, you think that that's the source of your supply, stop and remember and think, no, God is the source of my supply. Just like, if you go back in time and think when you were a small child, your mother was the source of everything. She fed you, she bathed you, she clothed you, for the most part, did everything for you. And then as we grow, of course, our lives expand and there's other things, but bring it back now and know that God is the source of your supply. And this is a good talk for Father's Day too, because we know a lot in New Thought, we say Father, Mother, God. We don't necessarily assign a gender to God. But as you're going through the week, as you're asking this question, remember that you are the love of God's life. So everything that you need, all of your needs are there. Everything is going to be provided to you. As long as you open up and you're receptive and you connect with God. And we know in New Thought that we have several ways that we do that. We have our prayer, we have meditation, and we have affirmations that we use. And I say this frequently. If you're ever in a circumstance or situation and you can't think of an affirmation, you know what? All of the phone numbers of all the ministers in our fellowship are there. Call them and they'll give you a great affirmation. They'll help you walk through whatever challenge you're walking through. Because at the end of the day, God is the source of your supply. God is your source. And think of that. The source is the love of your life. Isn't that better than going to a warehouse somewhere where you're like the 30th guy in line and you think the source is, you know what, because they got everything stored in that warehouse. No, but God is your source, and you have that direct connection because you are the love of God's life, and He is there for you in every circumstance, in every situation. So we want to remember that as we walk through our week. And the good news is, because we are the Good News Church, the good news is that God is the source of our supply. He's an unending resource. There's no bottom. There's no end to it. It's like space. It's just infinite, infinite, infinite. There is so much for us. God is an unending resource for everything we will ever need, and He's so ready to share it with all of us. We just need to have that connection, have that understanding. So as you walk out of here today, as you get up Monday morning, as you go through your process, remember, I am the love of God's life. He is a great resource, and He is an unending resource. Everything is there for me. So I don't need to be concerned and have my mind and my thoughts made negative, worrying about finances or health or relations with family or loved ones. Know that you are the love of God's life. He has an unending supply. It's all there for you. So prayer, meditation, affirmations, it's all your mind. God wants you to think positive. We have no negativity, only positive thoughts. God is the source.